Ah, Brazil, the land of samba, soccer, carnival, and endless coastline. But did you know it's the only country in the world named after a tree? Today we're diving into how Brazil got its name, why it almost had a totally different one, what makes it one of the most culturally rich and globally influential countries in the world, and also its culture, politics, military, food, and places to visit and avoid. Before we begin, fala galera, deiksa I am like ese inscreva ligado? That meant, hey everyone, drop a like and subscribe, you dig? At least I hope I said that. If not, I might have just ordered caipirinha with Wi-Fi. Long before Europeans ever laid eyes on it, the land we now call Brazil was home to millions of indigenous people. They called it names like Pindorama, a Tupi word meaning land of the palm trees. And honestly, that name slaps. Then in 1500, Portuguese explorer Pedro Álvares Cabral, who landed there, looked around and decided to name it Terra de Vera Cruz, which means the land of the true cross, very on brand for a Christian empire. But that name didn't stick, because what the Portuguese really cared about wasn't crosses. It was trees. Specifically, a reddish tree called pau-brasil. This tree produced a red dye that was worth a fortune in Europe. So, naturally, the land became known as Terra do Brasil or Land of Brazilwood and eventually just Brazil. Yup, Brazil is literally named after lumber. But there's another layer to this. In medieval Europe there was a myth about a magical island in the Atlantic called High Brazil, a paradise hidden by mist, only visible once every 7 years. When Portuguese explorers found a massive tropical land full of resources and mystery, some believed they'd found the legendary island. So it's possible that Brazil's name came, not just from a tree, but from a medieval myth. That's like finding a rainforest and naming it Atlantis Redwood. Imagine if the name Pindorama had stuck. We'd be saying things like, Pindorama wins the World Cup, visit the beaches of Pindorama, or the Pindoraman Carnival is the best party on earth. Honestly, it kinda works. Or what if they'd gone full stereotype? We could be talking about Football Land or the Beach Republic. Brazilian culture is a vivid explosion of color, rhythm, and warmth, blending indigenous roots, African heritage, and European influences into something entirely unique. You can feel it in the beat of the samba, a dance and music style born in the favelas of Rio and now a global symbol of joy and resistance, or in the smooth sway of bossa nova, made famous by songs like The Girl from Ipanema. Every February, Brazil's soul bursts onto the streets during Carnival, the world's most iconic street festival. Cities like Rio, Salvador, and Recife turn into parades of sequins, feathers, and drumlines. But beyond the glitz, Carnival is about community, history, and expression. Brazil is also home to capoeira, a blend of martial arts and dance developed by African slaves as a form of resistance disguised as performance. Today, it's a national treasure practiced with pride. Art flourishes in Brazil's murals and music, from the vibrant street art of São Paulo to the poetic lyrics of Caetano Veloso and Gilberto Gil. Religion blends too. Candomblé, Catholicism, and evangelical Christianity coexist, sometimes in the same neighborhood. Family and hospitality are at the heart of Brazilian life. A casual visit often turns into a feast, and there's always room for one more plate at the table. Laughter, music, and passion flow as freely as the coffee. Whether it's the chants in a football stadium, the aroma of feijoada on a Sunday, or a beachside guitar session, Brazilian culture is always alive and always inviting. Brazil and sports go together like samba and drums, and at the heart of it all is football. It's more than a game here, it's a religion, a language, and a legacy. The country has produced legends like Pelé, often hailed as the greatest of all time, and Zico, Romario, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, Kaká, and of course Neymar. Brazil is the only nation to win 5 FIFA World Cups, and their yellow jerseys are iconic symbols of flair and magic on the pitch. Rivalries like Flamengo versus Fluminense or Corinthians versus Palmeiras stir emotions deeper than politics. And when Brazil plays Argentina, well, let's just say the continent holds its breath. But football isn't the only passion here. Brazil dominates in volleyball with multiple Olympic medals for both men's and women's teams. The country has also produced champions in beach volleyball like Alison Cerruti and Larissa Franca. In mixed martial arts, Brazil is a powerhouse. Fighters like Anderson Silva, Jose Aldo, and Amanda Nunes have become global icons, carrying forward the legacy of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a combat style born in Rio and now practiced worldwide. Formula One fans revere names like Ayrton Senna, a national hero whose fearless driving and tragic death left an eternal mark. From skateboarding to surfing, capoeira battles to marathon races on Copacabana Beach, Brazil lives and breathes competition, with music, passion, and heart. Whether it's kicking a ball in a dusty favela or standing atop an Olympic podium, Brazilian athletes carry the soul of a nation that refuses to play quietly. Brazilian cuisine is as diverse as its people, and just like the culture, it's a flavorful fusion of indigenous, African, and European ingredients and techniques. In a Brazilian breakfast and daily life, coffee is a unique, dark, strong, and a national obsession. Brazil is the largest coffee producer in the world, and the drink is part of daily life. Whether it's a quick cafezinho offered as a gesture of hospitality, or a full-bodied espresso to start the day, coffee here is more than a beverage. It's a ritual. It's served hot, often with a lot of sugar, and almost always with conversation. Then we have feijoada, the national dish. It's a hearty stew of black beans and pork, slow-cooked to perfection and served with rice, farofa, toasted cassava flour, and orange slices to balance the richness. Sundays in Brazil, basically feijoada day. Next you've got pão de queijo, little cheesy bread balls made with cassava flour. Crispy outside, fluffy and chewy inside. Once you eat one, you'll never stop. Then, these so-called little thighs are another street food favorite, shredded chicken wrapped in dough and fried to golden perfection. Basically, chicken teardrops of joy. If you're by the beach, order a bowl of açaí na tigela, a frozen blend of acai berries topped with banana, granola, and honey. It's refreshing, energizing, and Instagram ready. In the Northeast, you'll find acarajé, a fried ball of black-eyed pea dough filled with shrimp and spicy sauces, originally from West African cuisine, brought to Brazil and transformed. Moqueca is a seafood stew rich with coconut milk, tomatoes, and palm oil, served bubbling in clay pots. And let's not forget churrasco, Brazilian barbecue. It's a meat lover's paradise, with cuts grilled over open flames, served on skewers, and carved straight to your plate at all-you-can-eat steakhouses called churrascarias. Need something cool to beat the heat? Grab a cold guarana, Brazil's iconic soda made from Amazonian berries. Try agua de coco, fresh coconut water served straight from the shell, often chilled with a straw at beach kiosks. It's refreshing, natural, and the ultimate tropical hydration. Or, grab a glass of caldo de cana, sugarcane juice freshly pressed right before your eyes. It's sweet, grassy, and perfect for sipping while strolling through a street market or fair. But the soul of Brazilian refreshment? The caipirinha. Made with cachaca, a sugarcane spirit, lime and sugar, it's tangy, sweet, and just strong enough to turn any sunny day into a party. As far as sweets and desserts, you have brigadeiros, chocolate truffles made with condensed milk, cocoa powder, butter, and sprinkles. They're rich, chewy, and a staple at every celebration. Then there's beijinho, which means kiss. A coconut version of the brigadeiro made with sweetened condensed milk and rolled in sugar or shredded coconut, often topped with a clove. Quindim is a bright yellow custard made with egg yolks, sugar and coconut, silky, sweet, and irresistibly glossy. Also, the pudim de leite condensado, condensed milk pudding, a creamy flan with a layer of caramel syrup that's as smooth as samba. You might also love canjica, a creamy corn-based dessert made with white hominy corn, milk, sugar, and cinnamon, especially popular during Festa Junina. It's warm, comforting, and tastes like Brazilian nostalgia in a bowl. We could have easily made a 2 to 3 hour long video only talking about Brazilian food. That's how rich, diverse, and massive Brazilian food is. It's communal, festive, warm, loud, and flavorful, just like the country itself. Alright, buckle up. Brazil's political history is a wild ride. Once upon a time, Brazil transitioned from a military dictatorship to democracy in 1985, and it's been a roller coaster ever since. We had Fernando Collor, who came in with flashy promises but was impeached in 1992 over corruption scandals. In that same year, Itamar Franco took the reins and helped stabilize the economy with the Real Plan economic program. Then came Fernando Henrique Cardoso in 1995, the professor president who actually made economists cool again. He stayed for 2 terms and passed the baton to Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, a former union leader with a captivating backstory. No elite pedigree, just charisma and grit. Lula's presidency, from 2003 to 2010, was marked by massive social programs that lifted millions out of poverty. But after he stepped down, his protege Dilma Rousseff took the stage. Dilma made history as Brazil's first female president, but her tenure was rocked by economic decline and the giant corruption scandal known as Operation Jet Wash. That eventually led to her impeachment in 2016. Enter Michel Temer, the vice president who suddenly found himself running the show. His administration was quiet, but controversial. Now, here comes the plot twist. Lula, yes, former President Lula, was convicted of corruption and money laundering and sent to prison in 2018. The whole thing was dramatic, messy, and the subject of fierce debate. Some said it was justice, others claimed it was political targeting. With Lula out, Jair Bolsonaro rode in on a wave of populist support, promising law and order with the enthusiasm of a man armed with tweets and soundbites. His presidency, 2019-2022, was loud, divisive, and filled with controversies, especially over his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and alleged misuses of power. Investigations started swirling around him the moment he left office. But wait, Lula came back. Like a political phoenix rising from the ashes, he returned in 2023 to reclaim the presidency, becoming the first Brazilian to serve non-consecutive terms since the dictatorship era. His comeback? Nothing short of historic, controversial, and deeply symbolic for a polarized nation. From impeachments and prison sentences to second chances and investigations, Brazil's political journey, as far as the day of when this video was published, is less of a straight path and more of a high-speed carnival chaos. And yet here we are dancing forward as only Brazil can. The Brazilian military has always played a significant role in the nation's history, sometimes as protectors, sometimes as political players, and occasionally as the main characters in the country's democratic plot twists. Let's rewind to 1964. The military, claiming it was saving the country from communism, led a coup and ousted President João Goulart. What followed was a 21-year-long dictatorship. During this time, they had generals who ruled the country, the Congress was sidelined, and censorship became the norm. While infrastructure and industry grew, civil liberties shrank fast. By 1985, after mounting public pressure and the famous Direitos Já, the Direct Elections Now movement, the military stepped back and handed power back to civilians, sort of like a guest who overstayed for 2 decades but eventually left when the whole neighborhood showed up at the door. In the democratic era, the Brazilian military largely returned to its traditional roles, defending the country's borders, participating in peacekeeping missions, like in Haiti with the UN, and responding to emergencies like floods and wildfires. They've earned respect for their discipline and logistical strength. But politics never completely let go. Under Jair Bolsonaro, himself a former army captain, military influence re-entered the civilian government. Generals held key positions in his cabinet, raising eyebrows, and some fears of military nostalgia. While no coups happened, the military's increased political visibility was a hot topic. Today, Brazil's armed forces are among the largest in Latin America with over 300,000 active personnel. They focus on traditional defense, Amazon protection, and UN peacekeeping, but remain a symbolic institution that always lingers a little too close to the palace gates. When we talk about Brazilian force and discipline, apart from its military, we can't forget BOPE, the Brazilian Special Force Task. This elite special forces unit of the military police in Rio de Janeiro is known for its skull-emblazoned insignia, intense training, and lethal reputation. BOP is deployed for the toughest urban warfare situations, especially in favelas where drug trafficking and gang violence turn alleyways into battlegrounds. Feared by criminals and often controversial in the media, BOP became internationally recognized thanks to the gritty film Tropa de Elite, Elite Squad, which didn't shy away from showing the unit's brutal effectiveness. To some, BOP are heroes. To others, they represent excessive force. But one thing's for sure, they're the sharpest edge of Brazil's domestic enforcement blade. Brazil has given the world some of its most unforgettable talents, people who redefined music, sports, art, and global culture. Take Pelé, the black athlete who rose from poverty to become the greatest footballer the world had ever seen. He wasn't just a player, he was a diplomat in cleats, bringing joy to war zones and uniting nations with a ball at his feet. Or Carmen Miranda, the Brazilian bombshell who danced her way into Hollywood with fruit hats and a million-watt smile, introducing Brazil to the big screen in Technicolor. Oscar Niemeyer gave Brasilia its capital, a future-looking city with architecture that looked like it came from space. His buildings curve like sculptures, mostly because he was not attracted to straight lines. And then there's Paulo Coelho, whose book The Alchemist sold over 150 million copies. His story of dreams, destiny, and the universe spoke to hearts all over the world. In music, Brazil brought us bossa nova, MPB, samba, and artists like Gilberto Gil, Caetano Veloso, Elis Regina. Global pop icons like Anitta or Ludmilla blend funk, reggaeton, and Afro-Brazilian beats for international audiences. Fabio Jr., a beloved Brazilian pop singer and actor known for his romantic ballads and smooth voice. He became a household name and is as iconic for his charm as he is for his melodies. Same can be said about Ivete Sangalo, queen of axe music and a fixture at Carnival. Her energy on stage is electric and infectious. Ayrton Senna is another name you can't forget. A Formula One driver so beloved he's remembered not just for speed, but for heart, with his death being mourned like of a national hero. And in the new generation? Raisa Leal, a skater, a symbol of joy, resilience, and raw talent, showing the world Brazil's future is still flying. So planning to pack your bags for a wonderful holiday in Brazil? Dreaming of samba, sun, and sensational scenery? Great! But before you hop on that plane, let's map this trip out, with both the must-sees and the must-avoids. Let's start with the good news. The must-visits. Rio de Janeiro. It's as vibrant as you imagine. Christ the Redeemer watches over the city from above, and Copacabana and Ipanema beaches pulse with life, music, and bikinis of questionable physics. Head up to Sugarloaf Mountain for one of the best panoramic views in South America, and don't miss Lapa for samba-fueled nightlife. Salvador. This city in Bahia is like Brazil turned up to 11. The Afro-Brazilian culture is everywhere, from the capoeira on the streets to the rich flavors of acarajé sold by baianas in traditional dress. The Pelourinho Historic District is packed with color, colonial buildings, and drumbeats around every corner. Foz do Iguaçu, think Niagara Falls but on caffeine. These massive waterfalls on the border with Argentina and Paraguay are nature's fireworks, with rainbows, butterflies, and mist that'll drench your soul. Fernando de Noronha. If heaven were a beach, it would probably look like this protected island. Pristine water, coral reefs, sea turtles, and a limit on visitors. It's like a VIP club for nature. Amazon rainforest. Whether you're canoeing past pink dolphins or just sweating out your city toxins, this is Brazil's green heart. Just go with a guide, unless you're cool with becoming mosquito lunch. Ouro Preto. A charming colonial town in Minas Gerais with Baroque churches, cobblestone streets, and gold rush stories etched in stone, ideal for those who like their history, with a side of cheese bread. Sao Paulo. Brazil's biggest city isn't exactly pretty, but it's intense. The food scene is world-class. The nightlife never sleeps, and the cultural offerings from the MASP Museum to graffiti art in Beco do Batman are top-notch. Now, the not-so-great side of paradise. Avoid wandering in the favelas alone. Some favelas in major cities are tourist-friendly, with guided tours and local art scenes, but without a local guide, you're risking way more than a bad selfie. Street crime in major cities. In places like Rio, Sao Paulo, and Recife, pickpocketing and snatch theft are common, especially in crowded areas, public transport, and near beaches. Pro tip: don't flash your latest iPhone, wear expensive jewelry, or carry your passport in your back pocket. And walking alone at night in quiet streets? That's a firm no. Avoid the outskirts of Brasilia. While the center of the capital is full of modernist architecture and organized chaos, the surrounding satellite cities can be sketchy, especially after dark. Areas like the Brazil-Paraguay border have reputations for smuggling and sketchy dealings. Unless you're hunting discount electronics, maybe skip this stop. Remote roads, rural highways, or long-distance traveling by car? You better stick to daylight hours, as some roads are poorly maintained and sparsely patrolled. Breakdowns plus no signal are not the best combination. And a word to the wise: Brazil can be a dream, but it's not Disneyland. Keep your wits about you, especially in crowded spots like public transport stations, markets, and festivals. If it feels like someone's watching you, it's not paranoia, it's survival instinct. Bottom line, Brazil is breathtaking, but it's also a place where paradise and pitfalls coexist. Stay alert, stay smart, and you'll get the samba experience of a lifetime, with your wallet still in your pocket. So what's in a name? In Brazil's case, it's part tree, part myth, and part glorious accident, but behind the name is a country of contrasts and colors, rhythm and resistance, passion and power. It's a place where the people dance like the world's ending because they've survived so much, where the forests breathe for the planet, where footballs fly like prayers, where culture doesn't just reflect life, it celebrates it. Whether you call it Brazil, Terra de Vera Cruz, Pindorama, or Football Land, one thing's for sure. It's one of the most creative, joyful, and unforgettable nations on Earth. Now, Should Brazil have stuck with the name Pindorama? What other country do you want to hear about next? Let me know in the comments. Obrigado e te vejo na agua de coco. I think I just scheduled a meeting inside a coconut. Please subscribe so I can afford Portuguese lessons.